My mom died when I was 16 meters. 3 years later dad started dating the one woman my mom hated most in the world. They had beef going on since childhood, and then when they worked together it continued. Mom used to say how much she hated her, how she'd be glad when she no longer had to have her in her life. She said she was the worst person ever. It used to be a joke with my dad and my mom's family that mom would haunt her if mom was the first of the two of them to die. Everyone knew the feeling was mutual between them though. So much that people they worked with did everything so they never had to work together, and their boss almost fired my dad's current wife back in the day for her unprofessional behavior. Dad fell in love with her though, and ever since he's been determined to paint a different picture. It turned my mom's family against him who hated him for his choice of partner after his mom. They said if he expects to reunite with mom in death, then he has another thing coming because she would never forgive him for choosing her, his current wife. His choice of wife bothers me too. As well as how he talks about her and my mom. He has talked endlessly about how she would have loved his wife or how happy she would be for them. Once he even said she sent his wife to us so when I have kids, they can have a grandma. My fiancé and I were having dinner with my dad and her parents, dad's wife was there too. Dad started off on his crap about this, and I called him out and reminded him that mom hated her and that the feeling was very much mutual while she was alive. That he had the right to move on but to stop painting a pretty picture. He told me I had done that to hurt him and that he didn't need my judgment. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your dad is attempting to gaslight everyone around him so he doesn't have to feel bad about his choice of partner. The other side of the situation is, he doesn't have to feel bad. He waited an appropriate amount of time after the loss of his first wife and then found love. It doesn't really matter who with. He does not require his late wife's approval or your approval. He's an adult, you're an adult, and he has every right to be happy. Right, be with who you want to be, but stop spinning crap yarn about destiny or that your late partner sent you the one person they absolutely despised so you can be happy again. If I was OP's mother I would be resurrecting myself instantaneously to come after them LMAO. Like fine if you fell in love whatever, but don't be telling lies about me because I'm not here to defend myself. Not the idiot. He can marry who he wants, but he doesn't get to 1. Fabricate the past, 2. Demand you play along, and 3. Not face the consequences of lying so blatantly to the point he's seriously repulsing people. I'd respect him more if he had acknowledged the true history between the two women, admitted he liked his new wife despite this, and stopped trying this frankly Orwellian crap. Frankly, I'd go very LC with the man because he's going to try to brainwash any future kids with his fantasy Lala version. Seriously. I'm petty, but I would have asked him how does it feel to know your wife married you to get revenge on a dead woman. I also wouldn't want him near my kids, so his outlandish suggestion that she would be their grandparent would definitely send me to LC territory. It's not judgment, Dad. It's a fact. I'm happy you're happy, but stop trying to make it something it's not. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Basically came here to say this. It's great he's happy again, but that doesn't negate the other factors in the situation. My son Aiden, 23, moved back in with us upon graduating college as my husband wanted. My husband's original plan was to have Aiden live with us for free, but stay home and help with his disabled younger brother, 16. Aiden started complaining about needing money and wanted to find a job. My husband was against this and even offered to double his allowance, but Aiden was growing tired of staying at home. So he began looking for jobs here and there for over a year, but none of his job applications came through. He'd just apply and they never get back to him. We were confused by this till recently. I found out that my husband was behind all the job applications being cancelled. He'd wait for till Aiden applies, then he proceeds to cancel the application by impersonating him and using his email. I blew up at him for this, but his justification is that he's just trying to make sure that our younger son is cared for by Aiden, and said that Aiden has been a big help and that getting a job will affect his care for his brother. I went ahead and rented an apartment for Aiden and told him to stay there till he finds a job and starts paying for it himself. Aiden was hurt upon knowing what his dad did. My husband was livid when he found out. He called me unhinged and said that I was separating the boys and teaching Aiden to become selfish and care more about a job than family. He also said it was a huge decision for me to rent an apartment without even running it with him. He's been giving me hell about it and is calling me a terrible mother for encouraging Aiden to be selfish and self-centered. He said I needed to see and understand why he did what he did. PSA few things to mention. 1. My husband says that since he and I have health issues, then we could use Aiden's help. 2. When I suggested outside help, my husband refused, saying he won't ask anything from anybody and that his son is his problem and nobody else's. 3. I used money from our joint account to pay for the rental apartment. My husband said it was wrong and that it was a major waste of money since we deal with medical bills consistently. Not the idiot. Your husband is abusive to Aiden and honestly creepy in his manipulations and insistence on Aiden being Dobby the house elf. Not the idiot. A 23-year-old cannot exist on allowance and he's not a de facto caretaker. Your husband seems unhinged. You did the right thing for your son. Not the idiot, but what the hell? Your husband is deranged and you should leave him. Your older son has a degree and wants to work and be independent, and your husband is gaslighting him to try to keep him around to support his younger disabled brother? The emotional manipulation is strong with him, and I'd be concerned about what he's capable of. So I, 32F, understand that this may make me come across as a heartless idiot, but it is what it is. Not too long ago my sil died in a car accident. My brother died years ago, so her death has left my nephew, 12M, orphaned. I've always maintained a child-free life for a number of reasons, mainly because I'm ace, so no interest in having a family, and autistic. I've never been good around children, and due to my autism looking after myself has been hassle enough, so I know that I'd make an awful parent guardian, especially when it comes to the emotional side of things. Ever since the accident, I have been looking after my nephew and without exaggeration, it has been absolutely draining on me. My entire life and my routine have been derailed because of this, which I know isn't my nephew's fault, but it's been putting me under an amount of stress that I can't handle. The problem is that aside from myself there is no one in our family who is able to take care of him. My parents are elderly and in their late 70s, so they can't look after him. Custody hasn't been fully sorted out yet, and if I was to decline, my nephew would be placed into the foster system. I know it isn't great or the best outcome for him, but I'm dedicating to giving him over to them. They'll be able to find people who can better care for him and who want to care for him, as bad as that sounds. I haven't told him my decision yet, but I have made my parents and friends aware and, well, their reaction has been worse than I expected. Obviously, I didn't think they would be okay with it, but my parents are threatening to end communication with me, and a lot of my friends are telling me that if I go through with this, that they'll distance themselves from me. Obviously, I'm aware that my nephew wants to stay with family and that he could suffer from going into the foster system, but I can't take care of him in the way he needs. I can't afford to take on the cost of getting a bigger apartment with a room for him, let alone bring him up or take care of him. I think it's best that others do it, they'll do a better job than I can. But, still, people are calling me heartless and are making out that I'm some monster for this. So am I the idiot? First things first. Have you actually talked to your parents about helping you financially? You say that you're currently living in an apartment and you can't afford a bedroom for him. That's a pretty big deal. I think you need to figure out if your parents could help pay for a bigger place before you make your decision. 12-year-olds are pretty self-sufficient. I think dumping him in foster care should be a last resort. Focus on getting support first. Not the idiot, but there are far better solutions than handing him to social services. If your family thinks you're so heartless, they should be stepping up to help you care for this 12-year-old. Ask for help. Talk to social services and see if there are any supports that can assist you in parenting this poor orphaned kid. Ask your family and friends to step in and help take some of the load. This isn't ideal, but it's also temporary. He is 12 and could be on his own in 6 years. I know it isn't what you planned, but life doesn't always go that way. You are not the idiot for admitting this is beyond your help and saying you can't continue the status quo. You would absolutely be an idiot if you just dump him in foster care and go off on your merry way. You haven't said that the child himself is an issue, behaviors, needs, etc. You need to explore getting help before you go with the nuclear option. Financial assistance or family assistance in acquiring a bigger place so he has his own space. Areas with club services like the Y so he has a place to hang out, spend time, and develop relationships with other caring adults. Update. After reading what people have said about foster care, I am looking into other options. I still don't think that I'm good enough to be responsible for him, but if worst comes to worst I'll have to do that. I'd much rather take on the stress than hand him over to a system that is likely to take advantage of him and abuse him. That said, I have spoken to his best friend's parents today about the possibility of taking him in, and they did seem to be willing to do it as far as I could tell. We're just going to talk about more of the particulars about it before deciding on anything. I want to thank everyone who has left productive comments that have given advice to me, as well as those kind enough to offer themselves as potential carers for him. Given what everyone has said about this, I have changed my mind about foster care. I still do think that I won't be able to care for him in the way he deserves, but I am willing to do it if no other option presents itself.